I'm Leah Lawrence.
And I'm her husband, Mitch Lawrence.
And you are listening to the Southern Spirits Podcast, where I regale my husband with Southern stories of the macabre, the creepy, and the strange.
And I drink.
So what are we drinking tonight, Mitchell?
Our beer tonight is Hitchhiker IPA from Good People Brewing Company in Birmingham, Alabama. A show favorite, if I may say so myself. 7.8% alcohol by volume. Let's read the can. Rocking more of a West Coast vibe than our American IPA, Hitchhiker balances aromas and flavors of pineapple, grapefruit, orange, and tangerine with a caramel malt backbone. So pick one up. You won't be sorry. And I want to apologize for the stuttering there. There's no excuse for that to happen. Very unprofessional. What I have to say about the beer, it's amazingly flavorful. It does perfectly balance all of those things that it goes into in the description. The sharpness of the citrus is there at first, and it's balanced really nicely on the back with a bitterness. And maybe this is why I used to like IPAs so much, and now I've kind of steered away from them, because this one's amazing. Leah, would you like to try it? Because you still haven't.
I've had it before.
Have you? You've had Hitchhiker? Oh, well, it's one of my favorites. It's so damn good. This is how craft IPAs are supposed to be in my mind. 10 out of 10. And yes, that's a perfect score.
Isn't there Snake Handler in IPA too?
It is. It's much stronger, though.
That's what I thought. I think I was going to say, I remember having 2 IPAs from Good People, and one was reasonable, which is this one, and Snake Handler is just unreasonable.
The Snake Handler is good, but it's like 11 or 12% alcohol. Yeah. It's really
unreasonable.
Strong.
I said that.
I do like it, but not near as much as this one. It's a really good, strong IPA that is not too strong so that it's sweet, and it's not too weak to where it's like, why am I even drinking this? Amazing. If you can find Hitchhiker, go get it. It's one of my faves. And people always veer towards just their traditional IPA and I can't even think of the other one now.
Truck Stop Honey is my favorite that they
That is not good.
Is that Back 40?
That's Back 40.
I get those two mixed up a lot.
Leah, I thought I was embarrassed for my stuttering.
Sorry.
My goodness, that is embarrassing.
What is it that Good People makes that I drink? Because I know there's something that they make that I do like, and I don't remember what it is.
I don't know, Leah.
Shit. Anyway, Back 40's Truck Stop Honey is really good.
There you go. All right, Back 40 gets a shout out. All right, moving on to the liquor. Thankfully, we do have another new liquor this week. This is Heaven's Door Double Barrel Whiskey, bottled by Heaven's Door Spirits in Columbia, Tennessee. It's 50% alcohol by volume. Let's read the bottle. The complexity of our double barrel whiskey is the result of our own barrel finishing process, taking more than a year to complete. We use heavily charred American white oak bourbon barrels to yield a satisfying whiskey with notes of caramel, oak, citrus, and spice. End quote. And what I have to say is this is incredibly smooth for the high alcohol content. The oak and caramel flavors really come through. I don't get much of the other stuff, like the citrus. But that's okay because it's really freaking good by itself. It's so smooth. And Leah's still not drinking, so she won't even get to try it. Would you like to try a sip on ice?
I'll sip it, but...
You're going to hate it because it's strong whiskey, but I love it. It's really, really, really good. And I highly recommend it if you can find it. What do you think?
It's fun. You know I'm a Jack girl when it comes to stuff like that, so I prefer a sweeter whiskey, and that's very not sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how whiskey's supposed to taste. Jack Daniels. Looking at you.
Look.
One thing I really like about this bottle is the bottle, because the bottle has a nice little picture on the front if you're watching on YouTube. I don't know how it's going to pick up there, but it's one of those that has an interesting thing that the label does inside the bottle, and there's a signature of Bob Dylan in there because he did the song, I guess.
Oh, okay.
And see, look at the back of it.
Does he own this distillery?
He might. I really think he might. Because, I don't know.
It's got a Bob Dylan quote on the side of it.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it says, we wanted to create a collection of American whiskeys that in their own story, or in their own way, tell a story. Bob Dylan. So I assume he is at least partial owner of this distillery.
I would think so. It's got the Heaven's Door thing on it, so that's his song, right? Because he wrote like every song ever.
I think he wrote that one. He's not the one that got the hit with it, but...
Right. That was White Snake? Is that right?
Fucking no, man.
It's one of the 80s hair bands. I don't fucking know either.
I thought it was Guns N' Roses.
It was probably Guns N' Roses. It was one of them. They're all the same.
I honestly don't remember. That is not my genre of music, so
They're
I
all the
can't
same.
help you with that.
What if it's not like the Bob Dylan? It's just a guy
It's
named
just
Bob
a
Dylan.
Bob Dylan?
Yeah.
That'd be even better.
Yeah. All right. Well, I gave it a 9 out of 10 on ice. It's very good by itself. Only an 8 out of 10 with ginger ale. I probably wouldn't mix this with anything. It's incredibly good by itself, and just putting something else with it takes away from it for me. So an 8.5 out of 10 overall, and I'm really knocking on Heaven's Door.
So just an update, because I googled it. Knocking on Heaven's Door was written by Bob Dylan, and the hit one that you hear on the radio is by Guns N' Roses. I was right. And Eric Clapton, Jerry Garcia, everybody covered it. But the hit was from Guns N' Roses.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're awesome. Now, see if Bob Dylan owns this distillery.
He does.
Okay. So it is the Bob Dylan.
Yeah, it is the Bob Dylan, not just a Bob Dylan.
Yeah, it's not some guy named Bob Dylan.
To be fair, it was probably some investing group wanted to get a famous person in on it, and they said, "Hey, Bob, how about it?" And he said, "Sure."
Yeah, that's all it is. Most of the time, these celebrities that have their own liquors don't invest themselves too much in the actual process, but sometimes they do. Like Dan Aykroyd's vodka, I think he's heavily involved with.
Yeah. That's why it's in a crystal skull, because he's like a weird, spooky dude. Which, if you've never listened to an interview with Dan Aykroyd about paranormal shit, it's fantastic, because he is a legitimate true believer, and it's very interesting. And I could listen to him talk about that kind of shit all the time, because that's the kind of stuff that I like listening to.
He's out there.
He is out there, but
Now,
I appreciate it.
Speaking of celebrity liquors, I will say there's one that I know of where they're heavily involved in the process. I was watching Conan recently, because when Conan's no longer doing late night, and I was just going back through some interviews recently, and he had one with Bryan Cranston a few months ago now. And Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul have their own tequila that they are heavily involved in, but they didn't make the tequila. Bryan Cranston said they tasted like hundreds of tequilas.
Yeah.
And they were like, we'll put our name on that one. Yeah. So that's what it was. Yeah. But they are heavily involved with the actual business of the tequila that they make. Pretty much every other one, like this one, is just Bob Dylan's like, yeah, write me a check every once in a while.
Which, I mean, that's just me just spitballing there. I don't know the story.
That,
so,
though.
But
Come on. Yeah. Well,
just saying.
Well, that's it for the alcohols, Leah.
Fantastic.
We've been done for a while.
All right. Well, why don't we go into the sassy Southern saying of the evening?
Hit me with it.
This one's easy and fun, and
okay.
I just want to work it into more conversation. So here's the phrase.
Oh, God.
He couldn't find his ass with both hands in his back pockets.
Oh, my God. I thought you were going to do the other one.
No.
That is involved with this one.
No.
Okay, well, that's just somebody is clumsy, loses things all the time. The another saying is you would lose your head if it wasn't attached to your body.
I, for one, am someone who could not find my ass with both hands in my back pockets.
You do that all the time. You lose shit all the time.
Yeah.
Good God.
We got some, so Costco has special shit occasionally, and we bought some wireless headphones, because I've been wanting a pair, but I'm not going to spring for really expensive ones, because this bitch loses stuff.
They're buds. They're like AirPods.
Yeah, they're like AirPods, but they're the skull candy version of them. And they're actually if you buy them regular price, they're kind of expensive. But Costco had them on a manager special. So I got me a pair, and they have tile functionality. And so if you put the Tile app on your phone, it'll track where your fucking headphones are. And it's amazing. And I've used it so many times. I like to listen to podcasts while I'm mowing the grass, and the other day I had a tree hit me in the face when I was mowing, and it knocked my earbud out, and I just stopped the mower and I let it find my earbud for me, and I just picked it up out of the grass and went on back mowing. I dropped an earbud under my car at work, and it found it for me. I'm just saying, bitch loses things, and that's an exceptional service for people like me.
Yeah, Leah would lose her ass if it wasn't attached to her. I
don't know. It's pretty big. It's a very conspicuous ass, so I probably wouldn't lose it, but
I will say about those earbuds, I'm the kind of person that can't wear earbuds. My ears just aren't shaped for them. It doesn't work. But these are the only ones I've ever used that fit me.
Yeah.
And we each got a pair. And they're fucking awesome. Yeah. I love them.
Way cheaper than AirPods. Yeah. So
now, what I thought Leah was going to do was she has a very country friend that most of you know named Amberly.
I love
and
her.
once we were at their house, and it was the same kind of thing. But her saying was he couldn't... What was it? He couldn't put a finger up his butt with both hands. Something like that.
I think so, but I think that was her like putting two sayings together. I don't know, but I like it.
I think so too, but that's what came out, and that's why it was so funny.
I think it was he couldn't put a thumb up his ass with both hands or something like that.
And I was like, it would be way harder to reach back with both hands. Like it doesn't make sense. And that was very funny. Yeah. And I thought that's what she was going for.
No.
But no. No. It wasn't that. Because that's just a crazy saying that we heard that time. And I don't know. I was hoping. Fingers were crossed.
Look, I think that her version's better, but you know.
It's way better. Because the way of making fun of someone makes it harder for them to do the thing. That's why it's so funny. Yeah, put a thumb up your ass with both hands. Well... Give me something that's not impossible, please, if I'm not a contortionist.
Look, I think it's possible. I just don't know that you would want to. But, whatever.
I don't know. I don't think I would
maybe
want to.
Some people are into that, and more power to you if you are and flexible enough to accomplish it. But
go for it. Now, if somebody else had the two thumbs, it'd be much easier.
Well, sure. With consenting adults. But, whatever. Yeah. Anyway. So that was our sassy Southern saying of the evening.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tune in next week when we try to find Leah's ass. Find the coldest place in the house. That's where the ass is.
No, you just need a thermal camera and to wait a few minutes because inevitably my ass will be the coldest thing in the room. What are you going to do?
No matter what, like just fucking yesterday. All right, I'm going to get into this. I'm going to go personal again for a minute.
Please don't.
Well, it's not going to be crazy, but it was yesterday. I was talking about how I've been using antiperspirant for the first time in my life instead of deodorant. I was like, I'm not sweating from my pits, but my under tits are fucking sweaty. Like all the time. And I told Leah, I'm going to put antiperspirant under my tits tomorrow and see if it works. And I put my hands under my tits and I went, good God, it's hot under here. This is why they sweat. And she goes, me too. I put my hand under her tit. And it was like 105 degrees. Yeah. And the thing is that Leah's ass is like -5 degrees. It's the weird. Why is that not? What is going on with your body?
I don't know.
Is there no blood flow to your ass cheeks?
It's possible. I don't know.
So weird.
They've tested me for all sorts of stuff, and I'm fine. I just
got a cold ass.
I just got a cold ass.
Which we've talked about on the show before. Yeah. So let's not get into the cold ass again.
Excellent.
But it's fucking weird.
Yeah, it is weird. I'm not looking forward to winter because I can never get my butt warm. So.
Yeah, that's the best. That is the best is when it's winter and you're just like, if I could just warm up my butt, I'd be fine.
I could be sitting in a tub of like a hot tub and my ass would still be like an ice cube.
I think we should do an experiment and shave your head and see if that, because most heat escapes from the head.
No, thank you.
So we should see if that gets as cold as your bare butt cheeks. That's the problem. There's no hair on your ass. That's the problem.
I'm going to get a toupee and just...
Get an ass merkin. It's just, if you're going to name something, why name it something funny like merkin? Also, is that a K or a Q-U?
I think it's with a K.
Why would you name something merkin? Come on, y'all.
Bless it. Okay. Maybe we move on now.
Okay.
I can't stop giggling. I apologize. Okay. Sometimes I have to say internal affirmations like, you are an adult woman. You do not have to giggle like an 11-year-old child. Thank you.
You do, though. You do.
So I've recentered myself, and I think it's time to start speaking about our very first story of the evening.
I just want you to know I just Googled buttock wig because I wanted to know if it had a name like merkin.
I don't think they're ass wigs, dude.
No, I mean, the first search result on Google is butt wig from Urban Dictionary.
I don't want to know. I so don't want to know. Thank you very much.
I'm going to see what it is.
No.
An excessive amount of pubic hair on the ass that has the appearance of a wig. No, I'm looking for a wig for the ass. Urban Dictionary. Excessive amount of pubic hair.
What they're talking about is a cheek sweater. It's
Cheek
completely
sweater.
different.
I think that's what I'm talking about. Urban Dictionary is talking about that you got a fucking wraparound in your pubes.
It's a comb over.
Yeah. Pubic comb over. Fucking gross.
Oh, gross. Okay. Let's stop that. Nope.
No, don't giggle. Don't giggle like a little girl.
Reel it in, Leah. We got this. I am a 31-year-old woman. I am not going to giggle.
Are you 31?
I am.
God damn.
Yeah.
You're so old.
I mean, you're 2 years older than I am, so.
Yeah, but not in lady years.
Yeah, lady years. I forgot about that. So might as well make me 112. Fuck it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, just so you know, it's Independence Day. Yay! In the United States, at least. I know we've got a lot of international listeners, so
Let's see if I can find a thing.
you know, for everybody else that doesn't make sense, but for the United Statesians,
Do the Independence Day thing again. Go.
it's Independence Day.
Meh. All right.
No, the only acceptable sound after saying it's Independence Day is just let freedom ring. Let the white dove sing. Sorry, guys, that was really off key, and I apologize. But
Yeah, that was terrible, Leah. You should be ashamed.
That's the only appropriate song to play after someone says it's Independence Day. Anyway, yeah. So in celebration of the independence of the United States, we're going to be doing an Independence Day special. And what that means is Leah got to pick anything that she fucking wanted to related to the Revolutionary War, regardless of region, and talk about it.
I was not consulted on this.
That's what we're doing.
Okay.
So yeah, we're not sticking to the South with this one. We're just talking about some interesting Revolutionary War ghosts and founding fathery kind of situations. So we're gonna be talking about that. It's gonna be really fun. So yeah, let's kick it off. Hope you're not already super drunk by the time you listen to this.
Who, me?
No, just anybody in general. Cause
yeah, this is coming out on
it's
Independence Day.
coming out on the 4th of July. So that's why I decided it would be a good idea to actually...
Right over my head.
Yeah, you're slow. It's fine. We love you. Anyway, so we are going to do our very first story of the evening, and we are talking about the haunting of the American Philosophical Library. And that's in...
Go ahead.
Philadelphia. So... Yeah. Okay. So we're talking about the ghost of Benjamin Franklin. So I want to tell you a little bit more about Benjamin Franklin because I don't know if anybody knows, but this is my favorite founding father.
I didn't know that.
He's fucking weird and smart and awful
and a freak too.
And a real freak.
Yeah. He'd be into butt wigs.
Most definitely into butt wigs. He's just a fascinating character in my personal opinion. Like, he has so many, interesting high morals and values, and yet he was a complete degenerate in some portions of his life. Like, I don't know, the hypocrisy and the knowing that he was and just being accepting of that fact. I don't know. The whole thing I find interesting. And so... just like I said, he's been the one ever since I was in elementary school learning about, that really basic, not exactly history that they teach you in elementary school. Benjamin Franklin's the one that I've been really excited about. So
the kite and everything.
Yeah, the kite, definitely the kite.
Was that him?
Yes, it was. You got it right. And also, if you're a Hamilton fan, the Hamilton mixtapes. Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote the Benjamin Franklin song and had the Decemberists sing it. And
really?
It's about Benjamin Franklin, and it's my favorite fucking song.
Well, that's your favorite band, so.
Yeah, I love the Decemberists, and I love Benjamin Franklin, and I think Lin-Manuel Miranda is a really clever lyricist. So
By the way, In the Heights fucking sucks, y'all.
No, it doesn't.
I hated it. I hated that movie. That was so bad.
You seemed to really enjoy it. When
No,
we were
it was
watching
fine.
It
was fine. It was fine.
I really like it.
I was just expecting more.
Okay.
That wasn't a good movie.
It was a very good movie, actually. It was done very, very well, and the cinematography was excellent. But
yeah,
anyway.
like the performance. I really didn't like the story. Anyway, go ahead.
Can we talk about Benjamin Franklin?
I didn't like In the Heights. Lin-Manuel Miranda doesn't have much going for him, Leah.
Bullshit. I mean, he is a bit of a narcissist, but at least he's a reasonably talented narcissist.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I just really like his Ben Franklin song, and choose the unedited version if you know what's good for you.
Are there lots of naughty words?
No, the chorus is "Do you know who the fuck I am?" over and over again, and so they bleep out the F word in the censored version, and it's just way more fun.
That song? I thought that was just a Decemberist song.
No, it was.
I've heard that a bunch.
From the Hamilton mixtape, and it was written by Lin-Manuel Miranda for the Decemberists.
Because there's a lot of I am Benjamin fucking Franklin, and then there's just a lot of mumbling, and then I don't know what's said. I know that song.
They're not mumbling.
They're not mumbling, but to me it's mumbling.
Yeah.
So.
Because you suck. It's fun. Whatever.
I guess.
Anyway, I'm gonna step down from that. And tell you a little bit about
was just a
Benjamin
December song. So
it's
I'm
not. Sorry. No. It's a Lin-Manuel Miranda original.
Got it.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about Benjamin Franklin and then his eventual hilarious fucking ghost. Because spoilers, it's my favorite. Anyway, so he was born in January of 1706. He was the son of a soap maker, which is fun.
Benjamin Franklin was?
Yeah, he's the son of a soap maker. And his parents were Josiah and Abiah Franklin. And he was born in Boston. And he was, a pretty charismatic kid and ended up being kind of the leader of his little gang of kids running around the neighborhood. But it turns out he only actually attended formal school until about the age of 10. And after the age of 10, he just sort of stayed home and he read a lot and that kind of thing. Eventually, after 10, he starts working with his father in the soap making profession. But by the age of 12, it was time for him to become an apprentice to an actual profession.
Yeah.
And so his brother James was a printer. And so he apprentices at the age of 12 to his brother James. And James actually founded the New England Courant, which was the first independent newspaper in the colonies.
Whoa.
And that happened about when Benjamin Franklin was about 15 years old. And so he, was on the cutting forefront of helping out with that publication. And he always wanted to write pieces for that paper. And his brother said, shut the fuck up, Ben, and typeset, dude. Come on. Don't pay you for that shit. Typeset, please. And so eventually he ends up creating, and this is a major plot point in National Treasure. But the Silence Dogood letters, if you'll remember from that, he actually wrote into the paper doing sort of an editorial kind of letters to the editor kind of segment as a middle-aged widow named Silence Dogood, and her letters were so interesting and popular that they printed a fuck ton of them, and eventually his brother figured out that it was him, and he was like, dude, we're not going to keep printing this, fucking stop. My dweeby brother, please stop. But eventually his brother ends up getting imprisoned for 3 weeks in 1722 for publishing unflattering material about the governor of the state. And so Ben's like, all right, it's time to get Miss Dogood out of the closet. And he starts writing more letters defending the brother and stuff like that.
What kind of unflattering material?
It's probably just true things well,
yeah, but besides that,
yeah. Anyway, but he has her quoting things about freedom of speech, and it really sort of riles up the colonists there to sort of want free speech in their laws and stuff. Anyway,
that's crazy.
But eventually Ben gets real bored of all that bullshit, and he really wants to do other things, become more educated, do something, and his brother's like, yeah, you're an apprentice, do what I tell you to. And so I don't know if you know a lot about apprenticeships from that time period.
I'm learning a lot about apprenticeships right now in one of my classes. I'm not kidding.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, I meant from like colonial times.
Yeah.
But basically, once you are, so like basically a family more or less sells their child as an apprentice. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And basically what happens is the kid is basically an indentured servant to the master until they become a master themselves. Mm-hmm. And it's like a contractually obligated thing that you have to stay and you have to do this. Yep. And
that's from a very, very early age.
Yeah. For the age of 12 for him. Yeah. But at the age of 17, he decides, fuck it, I'm leaving. So he runs away to Philadelphia to go do whatever the fuck he wants to do. And it turns out that makes him a fugitive.
Really?
Yeah. Because it is against the law. And he was, a wanted fugitive for escaping his apprenticeship, even though it was with his own brother. Yeah. That makes him a bit of an outlaw, if you will.
I mean, with the laws of the time, it's technically like burglary because
because you're stealing services.
Right, that was paid for. Yeah, so I get it.
Yep. Yeah. So it's not great for him. But anyway, he ends up going to Philadelphia. He starts working in a few different printing shops around town. But like he wanted to do something. He escaped his, whole hometown just so he could go do some cool stuff. So eventually he gets in with like the Pennsylvania governor, and the governor wants him to travel to London with him, help him get newspaper equipment to start another newspaper in Philadelphia. And he was like, okay, let's do it. So he ends up in London, and the governor's like plan doesn't really go great. So he ends up just working in a print shop in London as a typesetter for a while. But eventually he returns back to Philadelphia in 1726 because he gets hired on by a merchant named Thomas Denham, and he was employed to be his bookkeeper and clerk. So he ends up back in Philadelphia at, I think he was 20 years old at that point. And then the next year, when he was 21, he sort of formed this little it's called the Junto, but it's like an artist, tradesperson, philosophy kind of, like it was just a good old boys community club kind of thing, Mm-hmm. It was just a club for them to all sort of pull their knowledge and resources and hang around and talk about fun stuff.
Like they a yak club.
Yeah, they did discussions. Is
that the right term? Is it yaks? What do they do? Mules?
What?
Men's clubs. They pick like a beast of burden, and I think it's a yak. Am I wrong?
I'm thinking just the water buffaloes from the Flintstones. I don't know. I really don't know what you mean.
The water buffaloes was a play on that.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about, but maybe I'm just out of the loop. But
oxen
anyway,
or something.
Sure. So and apparently a lot of the people in that society were really into reading, of course, and books were really fucking expensive and hard to come by. So Franklin ends up suggesting that the group create their own members library. So everybody's going to pool their books together and create just this members library. So everybody can use everybody's books, and it's just, easier for each other to sort of reference materials when they're having discussions and making plans and stuff like that. So he ends up basically creating this, it's called the Library Company of Philadelphia. Oh. He actually hires on the first American librarian, whose name was Louis Timothy. So that's fun. But yeah, that's the library that eventually turns into the library that is haunted and that we're talking about.
How exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. But anyway, so Ben Franklin's personal life was fucking weird. Like really fucking weird. So his wife was actually not a legal wife. They were only common law, because what had happened was, so before he goes off to London, he meets Deborah, his wife. And he's like, hey, girl, you want to get married? You're real cute. And okay. Deborah was into it, but her mom was like, oh, this kid is not going to make any money and cannot support my daughter in the way she wants to become accustomed. So absolutely not. And the mom just says, no, you can't. And then
I laughed because that's the same way I proposed to you. Hey, girl. You want to get married? That's all it took.
I mean, pretty much. But
she was like, look at them sweaty titties. I'm in.
Gross. But yeah, so eventually after he leaves to go to London, he's a little sad, but whatever, going off to London. She gets married to this other guy, and it turns out that he was not a great dude, and he had a lot of debts that he didn't tell them about. And he ends up absconding with her dowry money and abandoned her to live in Barbados. So
paradise.
I guess. So he ran off with all of her money. She's still technically married to him, but because of the laws of the time, the bigamy laws, she could not get a divorce without him being present. They could not get him to be present there. She could not file a divorce in absentia. They couldn't prove that he was dead or not. So she was still legally married to him. Point blank. I mean, she could not legally get married again unless he came back and took care of it. So she was left high and dry and just like all fucked up. So come back, Ben Franklin comes back to Philadelphia and he's like, hey, Deborah, what's up? And she's like, see, what had happened was...
Debbie.
Technically, I'm still married, but I mean, like, do you want to? And he's like, yeah, sure.
See how easy it is, y'all?
Because it turns out... So he had a child out of wedlock, and he had just decided, okay, he had like put him into foster care and all of this other stuff, and eventually he owns up to it, and he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna raise my own kid, this one's mine. And no one, historically, they don't know who the child's mother was. Like, it was never announced, it was never recorded. It's just, he claimed him as the child, and he and Deborah raised that child together, which is odd. And then they had 2 children of their own together. But it turns out that Deborah was an anti-vaxxer, and because she refused to vaccinate their son for smallpox, he got it and died.
Now, at the time, I could understand the anti-vax thing.
But I mean, even at this point, the smallpox...
You got it. The smallpox vaccine.
Yeah, that was pretty proven and well...
Yeah, I understand, but it was still a long ways away from...
I get it, but still, I'm just saying, just
I don't
a little...
get it nowadays.
Just a little historical,
I have a big problem with it because there's... Anyway, go ahead.
And a lot of people think that that's sort of one of the reasons that... he and his wife were kind of estranged later on in their marriage, was because that basically he blamed her for not allowing him to get vaccinated. And that just really sort of drove a wedge between them. So he ends up attempting to take as many different jobs overseas as he possibly can to basically get away from her. And this whole time he's like fucking other people while he's there.
Dude's a freak.
Dude's a real freak. Yeah. Just point blank, real freak.
Yeah, he is.
So anyway, but beyond the real freakishness, he was also a very intelligent man, and he invented lots and lots of shit. So shot in the dark.
All right, Leah, what's the weapon? It's going to be really easy, so you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
A laser gun. Pew pew.
No.
A phaser?
It's just a laser.
Okay.
It's not a laser gun.
Pew pew.
Leah, it's just a laser.
Anyway, shot in the dark.
Yes, ma'am.
Which of the following medical devices did Franklin invent?
Oh, okay.
Was it A, the otoscope, B, the speculum, or C, the urinary catheter?
Okay, again, dude's a freak. So it's one of the genitalia ones, because I don't know what the first one is. So
an otoscope is that thing that the doctors look through to look in your nose and ears and stuff with the little tippies on them.
Yeah. Actually, I like that idea because in National Treasure, there's the glasses that were his with all the different lenses on them. And that's historically accurate.
He
had
invented
those.
bifocals. Yes, correct.
But he had not that. It was the one that dropped the shadings for the lemon juice and stuff.
No, those were made up. But he did invent bifocals.
No, that's historically accurate.
No.
The lemon juice and the heat and everything. And,
no.
So I'm going to go with the speculum.
Wait, what?
Yep.
Okay. No, still no, but
Okay.
you just explained I was confused.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Hold
right.
on. Let me find the thing. God damn it. I thought I was on the right screen and I wasn't. I'm so sorry, everybody. This is what happens when you suck at things. Oh, you want that one?
No, I don't want that one. It's bad and it should never be played.
Hold on. For some reason, the
last
screen
tone is wrong.
Scrolled to the top. So, that is that. If
It's
that
the
doesn't
wrong
send
tone and
shivers,
it makes me so
if
upset.
that does not send shivers down the back of your neck. I don't know.
I hate it. Stop.
It's the worst.
I hate it.
It's the worst.
Anyway, so
I thought I had a ginger ale in here. Fuck.
sorry, bro.
Oh no.
No. So he actually invented the urinary catheter. Yay.
That makes sense too. Hold on. Look. Just hear me out. I want to stick this tube into your pee hole. Just calm down. It's going to be okay.
Okay, so the story behind that actually is that they did have catheters at the time, but they were basically just like
they were wood, weren't they?
No, they were
Lots of
metal
splinters.
tubes that they just like sort of thick metal tubes, no tapering, no nothing, and they just sort of it's just a rigid metal tube that they sort of jammed up there.
Oh my god.
Yeah, real bad.
Oh my god, Leah. Oh.
His brother.
I have another UTI now.
His brother actually had really, really bad kidney stones, and he was in a lot of pain all the time because he had just kind of like I've got, like you've got kidney stones all the fucking time.
Oh my god, Leah.
Yeah, and it was really, really bad, and he thought about it, and he was like, there's no reason that this should hurt that bad.
Oh my god.
And so he drew up some plans and he went to a silversmith and had the apparatus made, but basically it was a silver sort of tapered thing with a sort of a ball tip that makes it more comfortable to be inserted, and then it was attached to tubing on the back end so it could more comfortably and easily be slid into place without like jamming like a spiky thing down your pee hole. So yeah, it was because he invented it because his brother had a bunch of kidney stones. But yeah, the flexible urinary catheter is something that Benjamin Franklin invented. And the ones that
taking
they
the shot
use,
because I'm already about to throw up.
the ones that they use to do today are still remarkably similar to the one that he invented back then. So you got Ben Franklin to thank for that.
You've Ben Franklin to thank for your relatively comfy penis tube.
Well, I mean, it could be
That's why it's relatively
ureter tube.
That's why it's relative. Yeah, it can go either way.
Yeah,
But I'm thinking
go
about
up,
penis.
It could be any urethra. Let's just put it
Yes.
that way.
It could be any urethra.
Choose your urethra.
Oh God! New game show.
All right.
Here's what we do when they don't choose the correct.
Please don't touch that button,
the
Mitchell.
correct urethra. Oh, I'm sorry. It was the other urethra.
Stop.
Yeah. You have a choice between one of three urethras. So when you pick one, we'll eliminate one of the wrong ones.
What's behind urethra number one?
Right. What's inside urethra number one?
Urine, usually.
Yeah. Oh,
Just a guess.
this one is swollen. There's an infection in here.
Oh, gross. Anyway, so
Let me take this shot.
you go ahead and do that. I'm
gonna
going to
try.
tell you about the haunting.
Okay, Leah.
Okay.
Whatever.
So-
I'm just so out of it now. I have no desire to continue.
Okay. Do you really want me to stop? Because I can.
No, go ahead.
But this is a really fun ghost, so just putting that out there.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm just
So-
very upset.
The American
long.
The American Philosophical Library has a really big statue of Benjamin Franklin in a toga out front of their building.
Okay.
And
Dude was a bro.
That's basically sort of the modern day evolution of what his library company, the original founding of the library company was, what it became. And he's also counted among the founders of the American Philosophical Society. So like I said,
Oh, it burns. Oh.
they have this big ass statue of him in a toga, and I like it a lot. And you can look up the photos because they're fun. So they've got that hanging out front. And so the haunting of this building, let's talk about that. So the hauntings kind of started closely after his death, but one of the more well-documented stories is that in 1884, one of the employees of the library was just working, shelving things, and all of a sudden she gets knocked over by a ghost just sort of rushing towards the bookshelf in the library, and she was like, what the fuck was that? You know, and she's like, he's wearing weird clothes. He knocked me the fuck over. Who is this guy? And when she gave a description of the man, everybody was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you just saw Ben Franklin. He's the one who knocked you over. Sorry about that. But my favorite, and then of course there's other people that'll say that they've seen him in the library itself, between the stacks and elsewhere. But
is it this picture that I'm looking at?
Yes.
Okay.
And
yeah, it's fucking weird.
Yeah. The best thing about this building, though, is that statue is also reported to be inhabited by the ghost of Benjamin Franklin, and occasionally, and this is folklore because that's an old ass statue. The story is that the statue is known to move on its own, and it's said occasionally to get up out of its seat and sort of waltz down the street, just sort of dance around outside the library, just hanging out. And this story has come down being like multiple different people, multiple different time periods say, and some people that don't even realize that, the statue is they just think like some dude in a toga is walking down the street, like what the fuck.
Yeah.
But people just report this statue is possessed by the ghost of Benjamin Franklin, and it just sort of leaves its pedestal, walks down the street a little bit, and comes back. And they say that Benjamin Franklin's ghost also is seen used. It's also seen pretty frequently, making its way towards where Franklin's house was in Philadelphia at the time. Some people also say that they see his ghost at pubs in the city that were, there in Franklin's time period, like the City Tavern and stuff like that. But yeah, so basically, my favorite thing about Benjamin Franklin is that his ghost reanimates his toga statue in front of the library and dances around because that's the best ghost story ever.
He just dances though?
Yeah, he just sort of like gallivants down the streets of Philadelphia because why the fuck not?
Yeah, I agree.
That's what 4th of July is to me, a prancing marble statue.
In a toga.
Nude
underneath.
Correct.
With a metal rod shoved up the pee hole.
No pants dance. I like it. Anyway, so most of that information came from a website called phillyghosts.com and Wikipedia for extra information about the Benjamin Franklins.
Wikipedia is
and
my
also
favorite.
Just like my general nerdery about Benjamin Franklin because I know too much about him. And that's
Everyone
not even
salute general nerdery.
That's not even like some of my favorite things about him, but we had to cut it short. So
Why'd we have to cut it short?
Because that was just the first one, and I've got a whole other story, and we're already at
we could just do the
minutes.
one. We could do this is just Benjamin Franklin.
Leah nerds out about Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah. No,
I have a second story, and I want to tell it too. So I guess we'll just pause here, let Leah calm down, and listen to the Ben Franklin song for a little bit, and then we'll come back with the second story.
Okay.
That's a huge bummer. So.
Oh, is it? Oh, those are my favorites. The ones that are real sad.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite stories.
Yeah. All right.
So I like sad things. They make me feel happy.
That's sadistic, but fun. Yep. Cool. All right. We'll see you shortly.
Okay. We'll see you soon. Bye, y'all. And we're back. And if you're watching on YouTube, the cat is literally in front of the camera. That is if the video goes up this week. But look at him getting his scratch on. That's really funny.
Oh, Lord.
Good cat.
Okay.
Good boy.
Well.
He moved.
Thanks, Steve.
Yep. Okay, see you, bud.
He had his few seconds, and now he's done with everybody.
He's been on the table the whole episode, just kind of slightly out of frame.
Mm-hmm.
And then right before we started, he put his butt in front of my face.
Yeah.
And then we started recording. He was like, I'm out of here. This is bullshit. I didn't sign up for this.
Oh, well. All right. So, how about we get into our second story of the evening?
I'm up for it, and I just want everyone to know I just told Leah that it would be hilarious if we come back and she's like, all right, let's get into our second story, and about Independence Day, we're going to do another Benjamin Franklin story, because she loves Benjamin Franklin, but she's not doing that.
It's true, but I am not doing that because that's... I'm one of those people that get really obsessed about a topic, and I did that when I was a kid, and I know way too much about Benjamin Franklin, so we're gonna curtail that situation, and we're gonna talk about Jockey Hollow.
Y'all, the camera and audio stopped, and Leah goes, "Did you know Benjamin Franklin was a vegan?" And I was like, "No, I didn't."
He was a vegetarian. Vegetarian.
Sorry, veganism wasn't a thing then.
No.
And then she went, "He was the first person to write the English word tofu." And I was like, "Leah,
he was the first recorded person
say this shit on the show." I'm like, I don't give a fuck about any of this, but it's so funny that you're breaking it up.
He was a pescatarian occasionally in his life because he loved fried cod. So sometimes he would be induced to eat fish because it's hard to like not eat a fried fish. But through a variety of time periods in his life, he was a vegetarian because he thought meat was murder, and also vegetables were cheaper, and as an apprentice he spent all of his money on vegetables so he could have the rest of his money left over to not have to purchase meat with. So
fried fish is the best, by the way.
Interesting character anyway, and that's not even talking about the skeletons buried in his homestead's basement. So I mean, man, what a dude. Anyway.
I accidentally just poured, because the cans are green, I accidentally just poured the rest of my ginger ale into my beer. Motherfucker. Like, it tastes fine, but it was concerning for a second there. I was like, am I having a stroke?
Maybe. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about the worst winter ever in Jockey's Hollow.
God damn it.
And so, okay. So Jockey Hollow, by the way, is in New Jersey, Morristown, New Jersey. So I guess when you were a kid, you probably remember learning about the winter at Valley Forge, where the Continental Army, under the control of George Washington, faced a very harsh, tough winter between 1777 and 1778. It was really rough, but that's sort of the winter that they got their shit together and they actually became, an army and they started doing shit, at that point. And they talk about in just American history that, you teach kids that was just this harsh, rough, awful time. It was a time of starvation and just hardship and how awful it was. Jockey's Hollow is a million times worse than that ever thought about being, and people don't really talk about that one because there wasn't a whole lot of redemption arc there. It was just like lots of people starved to death. So we're going to be talking about it, and it happens. That particular winter was only a couple years later. So 2 years later, in December of 1779, the Continental Army ends up camping out there in Jockey's Hollow in New Jersey. And it is still under the command of General George. And so it's what...
Old General George?
Old General George. Okay. And it's what they call it's called the America's worst winter ever, period. And it was, and legitimately the temperatures are the lowest temperatures for a winter on record to modern day. Like,
That sounds
there
awesome.
hasn't been a worse winter than that one up until the modern day. Like in 250 years, that one takes the cake. Like it was that bad. So they were camped out there, and that winter, and the first and only time in recorded history, the saltwater harbors and inlets that are all over the northeastern coast froze completely solid from how fucking cold it was. The entirety of the Hudson River froze over into a giant block of 6-foot thick ice. It was so thick ice that you could just pull horses and wagons across it from New Jersey to New York. Like just
6 feet thick?
6 feet thick of ice.
That's impossible.
No, it's not. It is not, in fact. Unlikely, sure, but it fucking happened. It was so cold that soldiers were having a hard time writing letters home because the ink was freezing in their pens. Yeah, it was that fucking bad. The entire January of that year, the temperature only got above freezing once. Ooh. And it was above freezing for like a degree for a day. Yeah. Like, it was really, really fucking bad. And then they had an exorbitant number of blizzards and snowstorms. So from January 2nd to 4th, the troops, so there were about 10,000 troops stationed there over winter. And they had seriously one of the worst blizzards that is on record. And there was already 2 feet of snow on the ground when that blizzard hit for 2 days. So it was just adding insult to injury at that point. So shot in the dark.
Oh, God, it's time. All right. What's this weapon, Leah?
Something breaking glass?
Nope. You can try again.
I don't know, man.
You're not even going to try?
No.
That was a guillotine.
Okay, fine.
A guillotine, which is appropriate since we're talking about the Revolutionary Wars.
Sure.
Well, war. But France had one, too. Y'all know the whole thing.
Yeah, it caused greatly in part by the fact that the French spent so much money on ours. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And they spent so much money on elaborate guillotines.
No. The guillotines were pretty cheap, which is, I think, the appeal. But anyway, so shot in the dark. Mm-hmm. How many separate snowstorms were recorded that winter? Was it A, 18, B, 28, or C, 38?
The whole winter.
The whole winter.
The whole supposedly 3-month period, just depending.
Correct.
Without the hedgehog. Hedgehog? Groundhog. Fucking shit. Sonic, Phil. No. Punxsutawney Sonic. There we go. That's what I was going for.
Punxsutawney Sonic just fucked off that winter. Yeah. It went pretty long.
I'm going to go big. I'm going to say 38.
You're incorrect. It was only 28.
God damn it, Leah.
28 snowstorms. And the average drift height for the snows was about 15 feet.
Well, you know what?
Some more, some less.
This is for you.
So yeah, 15 feet of snow on average at all times. Sounds like a goddamn nightmare to me. But like an inch of snow is a nightmare to me. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, you hate snow. I love it.
I do. I don't like snow.
See, I grew up like 2 hours south of where we live. So Leah got snow more than I did.
Yeah.
And
I still hate it.
It was not a luxury, but like a unique thing when it would happen down where I live.
I mean, it's still a unique thing here because it might happen once or twice a year. Yeah,
it snows up here once or twice a year, and in Montgomery it would snow maybe once every couple years at the most.
Like I said, I don't like it. That's the because I would willingly live up north because they're interesting places up there, but I just can't handle the fucking snow. Like if it was my choice, I would love to live in the mountains. Like the Smoky Mountains are one of my favorite places on earth. If I had all the money in the world, I'd build me a fancy house up there. But all the fucking snow, I just don't think I could handle it.
See, that's something you and I have never had to deal with. If we were to live in the Smokies, we would legitimately have to prepare for winter storms in that we would have to go to the grocery store and be the people that buy the toilet paper and the eggs and the milk.
Yeah.
and stock up for the fridge because we may be up there for a week or two.
Yeah. Which, I mean, to be fair, with just what we have in our own pantry and freezer right now, I could make it work for several weeks, no problem, because I keep a pretty well stocked pantry and freezer, and I'm good at cooking things that make it interesting. So, like I said, I could do that, not a problem, but like I don't want to have to do that. You know,
exactly.
like
exactly. And if we lived up there, we would have to. Otherwise, it's going to be like, I really want sushi tonight. And it's like, well, okay, get in the car. Let's drive down the mountain and see if any sushi place is open.
Yeah, no. So, like I said, probably not a great idea for us because I'm terrified of ice on the roads and snow and stuff. So, yeah. Whatever. But, so there is a documented letter from... he was a surgeon, but he was also a soldier, and you know he was in the Revolutionary Army in the Continental Army. His name is Dr. James Thatcher, and this is what he wrote about the conditions there. Quote, "The soldiers are destitute of both tents and blankets, and some of them are actually barefooted and nearly naked." Oh, hello. In the fucking freezing cold. Yes. Fuck off. Because Jesus. I gotta take this shot. It was so bad, and they had so little provisions that people were eating their shoe leather, and that's not a joke. They were legitimately boiling shoes to eat. They also ate a lot of birch bark. So there were a lot of birch trees in the area, and they would take that layer of birch off and eat it. You know, legitimately anything that they could find to eat, they were going to do it. They ate, you know, feed for the horses. They did absolutely everything that they could to stay alive. And in fact, it was pretty well known that a couple of officers that kept pet dogs no longer had pet dogs at the end of that winter because they ate them for food. Oh, Leah. Yeah, it was really bad. And there was one, a major general there that was at both Valley Forge and at Jockey's Hollow, and he wrote this about that winter. He says, "Those who have only been in Valley Forge or Middlebrook, New Jersey during the last 2 winters, but have not tasted the cruelties of this one, know not what it is to suffer." And I mean that those other two are the ones that you hear about being so fucking god awful. But this one, this particular stretch of winter for that army was so bad that hundreds of men deserted the army at this point. Hundreds, not a few here and there. Hundreds en masse abandoned their positions and said, "Ooh, fuck off," you know. And on top of the fact that people were freezing to death and starving to death and dying of exposure, smallpox went through the camp. Yay! Because at least something's taking them out quickly instead of them suffering. Yeah, though, but I mean, smallpox I do not think is a quick way to go. No, it's not. But it's also not freezing to death. True. But sometimes they would freeze to death and smallpox to death at the same time because, you know, why not? You're right. You're right. It was just... There's no way to say how fucking bad this conditions in this particular area were. Men were dying off by hundreds at a time. They were digging graves as fast as they could, but the ground was frozen, and they just had to sort of shove bodies in the snowbanks and sort of wait until they could bury them later once the ground unfroze. Like it was really, really rough. And they thought, hey, spring is coming. It's going to be fine. And then on April Fool's Day, it snowed 10 inches. So, yay. And it continued to snow as late as May that year. So it was pretty freaking rough. That's like in, I think it was 93. When we had the snow blizzard that came in. I thought that was 94. It was, I think it was 93, but I could be wrong. But Alabama, including in Montgomery, had a blizzard in late April, I believe like into the 1st of May. It lasted a couple days. And we got like a foot of snow in Montgomery. Yeah, we got like 3 feet here. Yeah. And that doesn't happen. Like, for reference, this year in April and May, it was in the 80s. Yeah.
And usually it's hotter. The last few years have been hotter, but it's just now getting in the 90s here. But for the last few years, it's been 90, 100 in late April, early May.
It's been hot as balls here the last couple of days.
Yeah, but only up into the 90s.
It's not been hundreds yet this year, I don't believe.
Nope, it hasn't. But just for reference, 93, I think it was 93. Was a weird fucking year.
But for all of our listeners that are, in heat wave areas, bless your hearts.
Like Seattle, apparently.
Fucking man, I cannot imagine having to deal with those temperatures without heating and cooling. I mean, we're just blessed to have to live in sweltering hellscapes all the time. So we've adapted to it, and B, have lots of air conditioners available. I could not handle it.
I just saw something while we were on our break for the camera to cool down, that New York City is asking residents to not run air conditioners right now because of the heat wave, and everybody's like, "Turn off fucking Times Square."
Exactly.
People
seriously.
are upset that Times Square is on and they can't run their air conditioners.
Yeah, you're gonna have all of these flashy bullshit lights, and people are literally dying of heat strokes.
Yeah.
Fuck yourself.
That's how I found it. It was a Twitter trend that was just Times Square.
I don't blame them. Go fuck yourself. Oh man, that would piss me off something fierce. But yeah, like I said,
I'll tell you what, this ginger ale and Hitchhiker is not bad.
Yeah.
It's not good, but it's not bad.
You've made yourself a weird ass shandy.
Yeah, it was an accident. But I'm just going to finish this one and open another one.
Yeah.
It's kind of fucked up.
But anyway.
I'm sorry.
So eventually, towards the end of May, the soldiers were so unruly and upset and about to mutiny that Washington ended up having to arrest and indict 8 soldiers for
What? You have a little hiccup.
Try that again. For insubordination, and he sentenced them all to hang. But he was super dramatic, and he didn't really like capital punishment all that much. So he, made a big show of pardoning 7 of the guys, but he thought, man, I gotta hang one of them because if I don't, people are gonna think I'm a pussy. So he hung one dude for insubordination instead of the 8 that he was going to hang.
I agree. You gotta hang them.
Yeah, but like I said, there were massive talks of mutiny at the time, and if there was any point in time that this whole situation was going to be fucked up and Washington was not going to end up as the first president, this situation right here is 100% the reason it could have gone completely different.
Yeah. If there was social media,
was incredibly close to losing everything, and there weren't any British people to fight against. It was just the fucking terrible winter. So of course, all of this suffering and just absolute deplorable conditions led to tons of people dying, and there's obviously a lot of psychical energy that sort of remains back there if you believe in that kind of thing. And of course, lots of paranormal activity exists in that area. So to date, Jockey Hollow is part of the National Historical Park in Morristown, and it's actually America's first National Historical Park.
Really?
So fancy. But it's mostly just sort of a wooded, conserved land area. So it's got trails for hiking and historical markers and a visitor center and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's pretty untouched from the time period that we're talking about. And it's just open, rambling fields and hilly trails, and it's woodsy. It's just a nice little pretty area there in New Jersey. And so if you're interested, it's there. But you might see a ghost because a lot of people that visit there do say that they have been known to see colonial soldiers sort of marching in step through the trees. You'll just sort of wander as you're hiking along, and you'll just see a regiment of colonial troops, and you're like, holy fuck, what is that? And then you just sort of realize, oh wait, those are ghosts. Shit. And it freaks a lot of people out, I guess. A lot of people also say that they'll hear fife and drum music, and that's just unsettling because who plays that nowadays, right?
Well,
Yeah.
Marching bands, mostly.
Apparently, there are also a lot of Revolutionary War reenactors that hang out around there. So, just make sure that your ghost doesn't have an iPhone, because if the ghost has an iPhone, it's probably a reenactor and not a ghost. But actually, a lot of the reenactors that do things there have reported lots of paranormal encounters. See, they've got these sort of rebuilt soldiers' barracks there. They've reconstructed these little log huts that they had there for the soldiers. And sometimes they'll allow reenactors to, use those as like a place to do a weekend kind of thing, And they've reported that as you sleep in one of those, like, there's lots of shadow entities and that kind of stuff. Like I said, for the most part, what people hear a lot is the fife and drum music, and they'll see just random soldiers wandering through the woods, and it freaks a lot of people out. But like I said, the shadow figures in the huts are what kind of creeps me out, because I don't like shadow creatures. That just sounds not for me.
Yeah, a little bit.
But there's also a cemetery at the base of the hill there in the area. So like the the hill that a lot of this paranormal activity happens on is called Sugarloaf Hill, but they call it Haunted Hill because so many people have seen ghosts and shit there. But at the base of the hill, there's actually the graveyard where they buried all of those soldiers. There's hundreds of soldiers buried there, but there aren't any grave markers. There's just a little plaque on a boulder that says, "Hey, lots of soldiers are buried here." But like I said, it was just such a sparse time that there were no funds for food, much less any kind of markers for the dead. So they were just getting them in the ground as quickly as possible.
So that's the ground was like frozen too, right?
Well, like I said, after everything thawed out, they just left it behind, and but there's also, I think one of the more famous ghosts that hang out around there is the apparition of a woman. She's dressed in sort of a white colonial style dress. She's carrying a lantern, and she's seen most often in sort of the winter months in the park. Nobody really knows who she is or what she may have been in life, but she's seen pretty often just sort of carrying a lantern and heading in the direction of that hill. And a lot of people say there's a ghost dog that hangs out around that area too.
Well, that's
and
sad.
That if you're walking your dog on a hike or something like that, it's not uncommon to have your dog react to something paranormal. You know what I mean? Like your dog would be like just bouncing around, being super excited to be a dog, and then like they all of a sudden freak out like they would if there was another dog or person on the trail, but there's nobody there. And a lot of people, a lot of hikers have reported stuff like that their animals and stuff act really, really strangely in that area and are kind of uncomfortable with it. But yeah, so for the most part, Jockey's Hollow, it was a really, really terrible part of Revolutionary American history that they don't generally talk about in high school.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, so I just think it's interesting, and it's one of those things that not a lot of people really know about because, like I said, there's not that redemption arc that Valley Forge gets. It's just, it was really fucking shitty for a really long time, and a lot of people died and abandoned their posts. So, I understand why people don't talk about it, but, I think it's interesting history, and I enjoyed learning more about it. And the website that I got that off of was morristowngreen.com, and they have a lot more articles about that area and a lot of the Revolutionary War history from that area. So give that a look if you're interested in learning more about Jockey's Hollow.
Well, you're right. That was sufficiently unpleasant.
It was a bummer, yeah.
Freezing to death is one of those things that I just...
Sounds fucking miserable, yeah.
Like, I think drowning is up there for me, and freezing is, like, right there with it. Because
caves,
I love
drowning,
caves,
fires,
fucking caves. Oh, my God.
Freezing.
But, like, I love cold weather. I would much rather be cold than hot in all instances.
No
but,
thanks.
like, not that fucking cold,
I couldn't handle it.
I
Could not handle it.
I love being cold.
Anyway, so those were my stories for the evening.
Well,
yeah,
that was excellent, Leah.
I'm really excited about my toast.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Shit. That can only mean that it is fucking awful.
I mean,
And I'm excited about it.
it's not great, but I enjoyed myself.
I'll be the judge of it being great.
Well, everybody hoist your goblet high into the sky. And we're going to do our
Hoist
little
your ginger
toast.
ale IPA high into the sky.
That sounds disgusting, bro.
It's not that bad. It's not
Anyway.
good, but it's not bad.
All right, here we go. Inventor, philosopher, ambassador to France, his statue dances in the streets, not wearing any pants.
Oh, God.
A birch and shoe diet was a harrowing slog, but better as a soldier than a poor soldier's dog. Drink.
Aw. You always got to bring the dog into it.
It was good, though. That was a good toast.
Okay.
Drink.
If you say so.
Drink, bitch.
If you say it was a good toast, it's got to be a good toast.
I rhymed France and pants, and that makes
Everybody
me happy.
rhymes France with pants.
I
Everybody.
know.
Literally, if you don't... Wait, no. That's not it.
I see London.
There we go.
I see France.
That's what I was going for. I don't care, I'll pull down your underwear. Apparently, that's what I was going for. I mix up my children's rhymes a lot.
Yeah.
If you're sliding into third and you feel a juicy turd, diarrhea. You know that one. Yeah. If you're sliding into home and your pants are full of foam, diarrhea. You know all of these, right? So that's where I was lost, around in that area.
Yeah, like, I don't know why, but, like, I do know all of those.
Yeah.
And how is that buried in my psyche? I don't know. I don't like it.
When you're sliding into first and you feel something burst.
Yeah.
Diarrhea, cha-cha-cha.
Does every child know that? Is that
Yeah.
just something, there's a child's handbook that it gets tossed around and just everybody knows that shit?
I don't believe there's a handbook because that's gross.
Gross.
I think it's more of an oral tradition.
Oh. Oh. Okay, well, I'm sufficiently grossed out.
No. Well, is that it then?
Yeah, that's everything.
All right, let me put my beer down. Hold on, I didn't drink for the toast.
I told you to drink, bitch.
Yeah. Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening. Follow us on all of your social media platforms. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/Southern Spirits Podcast. Send us an email, southernspiritspodcast@gmail.com. Send us a postcard or anything else fun to P.O. Box 1743, Hartselle, Alabama 35640. And the dog is getting really worked up off camera.
Yeah, she knows what time it is.
She knows. She can tell by my tone that it's about that time. So you know what that means.
Bye, y'all.